and thank you for joining us today for Admin Best Practices Preparing for Salesforce Releases. Before we get started, please take a look at our forward-looking statement. This asks that you make all of your purchasing decisions regarding Salesforce based on technologies that are available today and not any technologies we may mention in the future that are coming in the future. My name is Leanne Reimel. You can find me on the Twitters at Leandroid. I'm an admin evangelist here at Salesforce, and I am excited today to share with you how you can get ready for Salesforce releases and get up to speed on all of the latest and greatest in Salesforce technologies. We love hearing from you, so make sure to connect with us and ask questions. I already shared my Twitter handle, but also connect with us on our Salesforce admin's Twitter handle. There's no I in admin. And on the hashtag AwesomeAdmin. We also have a group on the Trailblazer community where you can ask questions about this session or any Salesforce admin sessions that you see. And you can find that at the bit.ly admin webinar group. Those underscores do indicate capitals. So if you're using the bit.ly, make sure to capitalize the A, W, and G. So please connect with us online on Twitter or find us on the Trailblazer community if you've got questions that you'd like to ask. So today what we're going to talk about is, what is a Salesforce release? What does that mean for you as an admin? What are the best places to get hands-on with a Salesforce release? What are some steps you should be thinking about as an admin on how you train your users on Salesforce releases? And what's a general release timeline look like so you can start planning ahead for future releases? So first, we'll talk about what a release is for Salesforce. Salesforce releases are how we deliver new functionality and features to our customers, you. So we have 3 releases a year. They're named spring, summer, and winter. Generally, spring comes around January and February, summer comes May and June, and winter comes September, October. That's a general timeline for when you can expect to see releases. So it's also good to remember they come about every 4 months. So if it has been a while since you've heard about a Salesforce release or gotten hands-on with a Salesforce release time is probably right around the corner. And during a Salesforce release, features that have been delivered by our product teams are made available in your production and sandbox environments. We're going to talk more about what that looks like and how you get hands-on with them. But these are brand new features, or they might be upgrades or updates to existing features that you've already used and played with. And these are new features that are brought to you in those environments. Now, how do we decide what features to build, what features to deploy? We take a lot of input from our community via the prioritization process. So I encourage you in the Trailblazer community to go into the idea exchange and click on ideas and prioritization, and you can actually see what are those top ideas that have been prioritized or are maybe under consideration to be delivered, and you can participate in prioritization yourself as an admin. So I strongly encourage all of you, when there are those prioritization windows open, to make sure you participate in prioritization. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your input about features, things that you want to see in your orgs, because that really strongly factors into the features that we release. So every release generally includes generally available features, pilot features, and beta features. And what does that mean? Pilots are usually the first phase of public testing. So pilots normally include a small subset of participant organizations. These may be companies that have opted into a pilot based on their kind of particular business needs or if they meet that pilot profile. And pilots can have a varying level of access requirements. So there's some pilots that are a very wide open pilot that might maybe only require that you use mobile. But other pilots might be more specific to ensure that they're successful or ensure that they're really testing out the functionality. So they might have a more specific set of requirements, like a type of data count. Like you have to have a certain set of data or a certain number of data, or that you need to have a certain number of like territories or users. So there's different qualifying criteria for pilots to look at. And so every pilot is different. Beta is a phase involving rolling a feature out publicly for testing. So beta features are normally given limited support. They're not usually considered finished. And so there might be limited support if you were to, say, use a beta feature and then call support or need additional kind of assistance with that feature. They are something that is being rolled out kind of early for feedback and testing. Generally available is where features go. Usually once they pass pilot and beta, although a lot of features go straight to GA, and they'll be formally included in a Salesforce release and considered GA. So these features are considered fully functional and are generally fully supported. So there's all these cool new features coming. You want to get hands-on with them and start to see how you would build them for your organizations and use them in your implementations. So we want to get hands-on. There's a few places that you can test drive new features and get hands-on. One of those is in your pre-release environment. So every release, in the release communications that go out on Salesforce admin's blog, on the release group on Trailblazer community, which I'll share, there is a link for every single release to a pre-release environment. And it's a developer edition environment. So if you've ever signed up for what's called a DE org or developer edition org, you can sign up for a special one during releases that is on that release. So this would have a lot of features turned on for it, but you only have like one user. You can't add a lot of data into it. It's really just to test building features, and it wouldn't have any of your existing implementations or existing customizations. It's kind of a blank developer environment. I strongly encourage everyone who's getting hands-on with releases to get a pre-release environment. There's no limit to how many you can get. You can get one every release. You can get more than one in a release. Just like a developer environment, you can sign up for as many as you want. And you can't really break anything in a DE, so it's a great place to really explore and test drive features. Now, you can also get hands-on with a release in your sandbox. So if you are using sandboxes as part of your development lifecycle, there is what's called a sandbox preview window. So for every release, there is a period of time during which, if you refresh your sandbox during that period of time before the release, that new sandbox refresh will be on that next upcoming release. This is really useful because, as you know, your sandbox will have your existing customizations, set of your existing data. You'll be able to test drive how these new features will work against your existing customizations and your implementation. So if you're using sandboxes, I think it's a really, really good idea to actually do both, to get hands-on and pre-release, because you can't break anything. You have a limited number of pre-release orgs in a DE, and then to also try to get that sandbox preview window where you're refreshing your sandbox at a particular window. We always publish those dates. And then you're able to kind of test some of these feature changes, or maybe features you've been waiting for, or upgrades you've been waiting for against your existing customizations. And there's other places as well to get pre-release. These are the two main places to get hands-on before the release is generally available. Some of the Trailhead environments are sometimes on pre-release. Sometimes there's particular kind of enablement steps that we take people through if there's like different workshops that you're doing, things like that. Sometimes there's ways to get kind of hands-on with features outside of these, but these are really the main two, is the pre-release environment and the sandbox. Oh, and you can learn more about Sandbox Preview. It's included on the release trail, which I'll include at the end. So let's talk about training our users. So we're rolling out these new features potentially. We want to maybe deploy something that's new or part of a new build for our users. And I think it's really important to, as an admin, to really take charge with training our users, because we want to train them not only on maybe changes we're making, which is the change management that we're always responsible for, but also with every release, there's features that are specific for end users. Maybe they don't require a lot of admin customization. However, as an admin, you're the ambassador of Salesforce. You're kind of the product manager for Salesforce for your environment, for your company. And so I think it's a good idea to always think about what are those end user features that maybe don't require a lot of admin enablement or customization, but you are in a position to help point them out to your users and help them be successful. So I love thinking about training your users on feature adoption at your company in a few different ways. You can do kind of webinars, lunch and learns. When I was an admin, I used to do lunch and learns pretty regularly, recording little video series, pointing them to appropriate Trailhead modules. So if there's, say, a bunch of great new features for reports and dashboards, maybe remind them to take the reports and dashboards module so they can get comfortable with that area of the application. There's also, of course, chatter. If you do have like a Salesforce chatter group or an admin kind of chatter group at your company where you're letting people know about changes or new things. That's a great place too. And these might be features like letting people know that they can view their calendar in a list, right? That was a feature that came out a few releases ago. It's really useful for end users. It doesn't require any additional enablement from an admin. However, as far as setup is concerned, that might be a really useful thing for you to point out to your users if they're heavy calendar events and task users. So thinking about what are some of those features that you can point out to your users to help them be productive. So I've mentioned a couple times the release timeline and what the order that things come in the release. So let's dive into that and what that means. So at the bottom, the green here, the release goes out on a rolling basis, that we kind of count backwards from there. So we can always get to our release, and I'll get to this on an upcoming slide. We can always get to the release kind of drop date on Trust, and I'll share with you exactly how to find that. But every release, if we have like the release day, which is the day that your org or your environment gets all of these new features, if we count backwards at about 1 month is when you can usually sign up for pre-release. And these aren't like hard and fast dates. These are approximate dates because sometimes there's differences by like a week or so just based on the calendar. About 1 month out, you can also usually read the preview release notes. So often those go out, and these are considered preview release notes. They're not finalized, but you can start to get hands-on quickly with the release notes and read. About 3 to 4 weeks out is when the sandbox preview notification goes out. So that's when you would want to be making sure you have a plan for when you're going to refresh your sandbox. And also that's when we release the release badge. So for every release, there's a trailhead module, and that covers specific features that are being included in that release. Then usually about a week or two before the release comes to production, we have Release Readiness Live. So during Release Readiness Live, we have an admin preview and a developer preview that are going to touch base on lots of different features coming for admins and devs. And then we also have 4 days of cloud release readiness live. So like Sales Cloud, Platform, Community Cloud. So if you are, say, a Service Cloud or a Community Cloud customer, it would be really important to attend the Community Cloud or Service Cloud Release Readiness Live broadcast, just so you can see the deep dive from all the product managers on the features that are being included. And we also always post on admin.salesforce.com our release countdown blog where we have all of these dates included to help make sure that you can mark them in your calendar. I mentioned the Trust and Maintenance calendar. So if you go to Trust, our Salesforce Trust site, you can browse by cloud. So depending on what cloud you're using at your company, you can go ahead and browse and look at what is the release calendar look like for my cloud and for your org instance. So you can look up your org instance in your company information. So maybe you're like NA42, and that's where you can go and cross-check that and see exactly what day you're going to be getting that release. So we've got a ton of resources. I mentioned some of them. We've got our Trailhead Trail, Prepare for Salesforce Releases. I highly suggest everyone takes this trail. It's really important. It's got information on doing your sandbox refresh. It's got information on how you should review for the release. We also have a lot of release content on Salesforce admins. So if you go to admin.salesforce.com, we've got blog posts, videos, podcasts. We've got a topic called Salesforce Releases. And so if you go to that, then you can see all of this content from experts in our community and experts from Salesforce on how to best prepare for a Salesforce release. And in the Trailblazer community, we have the release readiness group. So for every single release, there's updates, timelines, questions posted to that release readiness group in the Trailblazer community. It is a really important place to go for an admin. They post tons of resources. It's a good place to post if you have a question about a release or something that's being included in a release. There's a lot of product information in there as well as timeline and timing information. And for every release, we have a learn more trail mix that is for admins and developers, and we've got release highlights in there, and you can find that at sforce.co/learn more for every release. So I hope you're excited to get hands-on with upcoming Salesforce releases, and I will see you on the trail. Thanks for joining.